So if you are holding your breath, keeping your core tight, drawing in constantly, hollowing constantly, we know it's not going to help your movement. So just go back.
It's going to block your movement.
It's going to
make you quite rigid.
Exactly.
And
we're
trying to get into this spinal mobility because Pilates isn't all about just this.
Yeah.
You want to have that flexibility in your spine, and you can't do that when you're bracing.
It's giving you the control through movement. So if you want control through movement, you need to allow movement. There is a time for bracing, and it's when you are in the gym doing an incredibly heavy movement and you are using that stiffness, that holding your breath and that bracing your core will give you to give you stability under a massively high load.
So for like powerlifting,
massive squats, Olympic lifting, all of that kind of stuff, you need that extra cuddle, you need that pressure that you get. So if we look at a really fundamental exercise, you lie on your back and you lift a leg and drop it back down again, or you have both legs up and you're doing little toe taps, okay? The number of people that imprint their spine, so they push their lower back into the floor. Now, all that's doing is it's kind of giving you like a smiley face type shape, so it's flexing your spine. This is not a spinal flexion movement, and we don't want to walk around all day like this. We want to walk around with these 3 natural curves in your spine. Now I am lying down and I am doing a hip dissociation. So can my hip move independently in my socket? A hip hinge. That is what this exercise is doing. Your hip flexors are working. So your quads and things will be working as well. You can't turn them off. You can't stop it. That is what lifts the leg. But what you're doing is you're looking for that slow lower, that whatever it might be. The body is staying relatively still. There'll be a little bit of rotation because it's inevitable when one leg moves and one leg doesn't. But we're trying to keep the relative natural curves the same because I am standing up straight and I am lifting a leg to go up a stair. I am not lifting a leg and dropping down. That's an imprint spine. There is no actual link to function by doing that. All you're doing is training yourself in this position constantly, which means the minute you do this, you've got a problem.
More than that, when you imprint, you're generally ending up holding your breath again.
Yes.
And bracing again.
Yes. And our core is not just, so our core is our, like we've talked about, the really deep stability system. It's everything. It's also your diaphragm. It's also your pelvic floor. They all kind of come together and they are muscles too. And they have to work through their full range or they don't work. And this is why, so 1 in 3 women have incontinence, 1 in 10 men. The stats are getting worse. A lot of that isn't because of a weak pelvic floor. It's because we can't let it go. So the minute your bladder gets any liquid in it and then you add a step or a jump or a run and that downward pressure forces the bladder onto the pelvic floor can't let go, which means you leak. And that is a huge problem that we're having at the moment because HIIT training, bracing, imprinting, holding your breath, all of that stuff, the stress and the natural high octane lives that we generally leads to this holding in. Pull your belly in, stick your chest out, right? That's how our grandmoms told us to stand. But that means that you are not working your muscle through full range. So stress it outside of what you're doing and you will have a problem because you don't have strength there. Now, if I'm doing a chest lift, so a little baby sit up, my head is coming up, my ribs are rotating, my spine is flexing, and at some point I've picked up and hit all the dominoes. That means my lower back gently meets the floor and my pelvis will tuck under. It is inevitable because I'm flexing from my tailbone to the tip of my head.
And the key is it's gentle and it happens as a natural consequence of doing the other things.
Yes.
You're not trying to get the lower back on the floor.
It is a consequence of, it is showing you that your spine has its natural capacity, its natural ability to gently flex. And when you lay yourself back down again, it can unfold back into those 3 gorgeous curves that we keep, because that is where our spine is designed to be its most stable. It wants to move how it wants to move, so let it move. So then this comes down to the breathing. You must breathe by exhaling to lower the leg and inhaling to lift the leg. the reality of it is unless you're suddenly putting a lot of weight on you, it doesn't matter. How you breathe, when you breathe, where you breathe, it doesn't matter.
So we get this all the time.
Yeah.
People get really stressed out with Pilates because they've been given cues about their breathing and they're already thinking about too many things.
When do I breathe again?
And they can't do the breathing, and it's too much cognitive load, and it really stresses them out. And then they're a bit like you going to yoga and you're not flexible. They're like, I can't do the breathing, so I can't do Pilates.
And it all gets a bit much.
It all gets a bit much. But actually, we do want to cue you to breathe because we don't want you to hold your breath.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter as much as we might think it does of which way round you breathe. But you could also, in skilled hands, use the breathing, and we were talking about this the other day, because you want to achieve a certain thing with it.
Yeah, your breathing can facilitate your movement, okay? If you sit here right now and take a massive deep breath in, where do you go? You extend. If you take a massive big breath out, you flex.
True.
So we can use breath to facilitate where our spine goes. We can use breath to almost, if we go into a rotation, use your breath out to expand your rib cage to give you a little bit more accessory movement around your spine, so that when you come back, it feels a little bit easier. So you can use breath to encourage motion or to gain a little bit more motion because you're using these accessory movements. You can use breath to encourage stability. So if you are really, really mobile, you're quite deconditioned, you might use an exhale breath as you have something on the harder side of the movement, because it gives you natural help.
And then you don't have to put in your tummy.
And then you don't have to put in your tummy, because when you breathe out, your tummy goes down and everything comes together. Your sides, your pelvic floor, your diaphragm, your back, they all naturally work at a low level. Some of your deep abdominals sit in your spine, okay? So they all naturally work at a very low level. If you're breathing out and your tummy goes down and suddenly it goes pop, okay? So I kind of liken this to a bit of a lift situation. When you're in a lift and it's working well, it's rising, that's your in-breath. It's falling, that's your exhale breath. If you were to start to drop down, okay, really nicely, because we're breathing, and then suddenly your tummy goes pop and shoots up 10 floors, you would freak out. Ultimately, if you're starting to do this and you suck it in and it drops, you would freak out as well. All you need to do is let that lift rise and fall. It will naturally happen. It will come together. It will happen, because trust me, that's how your body's designed.
That's another way that I like to use breathing, is to help with the timing of movement. And to slow people down.
Yeah.
So if they're getting it, it can be quite nice to help with the flow.
Yeah.
We're always breathing in and out. We're normally doing Pilates movements at often this speed as well. But unless, if they're getting too confused, it's going to interrupt with that.
Yeah.
But once they can get their breathing, it's a really nice device for helping with timing, flow, relaxation.
If somebody is breathing and they're moving, you don't need to cue it. They are doing well. Because the reality is I want to be able to lift my leg on an inhale and an exhale. Nobody does this. They switch off the telly and then they go, inhale to prepare, exhale to stand up. If you are only teaching people to do a movement with a certain breath, where's the resilience? Where's the choice? Where's the options? You don't have it. Inhale to prepare. In normal movement, as they're standing up, turning around to do something, doing something, inhales to prepare. Prepare for what? A dinosaur's not going to eat me.
Prepare for the outbreak.
The elephant's not going to come and get me. And it's just...
I still say it because it's been programmed into me, and it is preparing for an outbreath.
But why?
You don't need to think about it so much. And quite often when it's my clients now, I just go, are you breathing? That's my first cue, is are you breathing? They go, no.
Yeah, and that's
and then we start breathing.
Exactly. But if they're already breathing, you don't need to even talk about it. Okay? It is an unconscious thing we do every day. Mm-hmm. Most people can do it. If they're not breathing, the question is why? Is it too hard for them? Are they thinking about things too much and so they've shocked their system into stopping things? have they done so much of a specific type of exercise that they are very used to holding their breath? So then you need to look at that relaxation, that down training. It's all these different things. You telling them when to breathe is not going to give them options. It's not going to give them choices. They're never going to remember it, because then they go, when did she tell me how to breathe? I couldn't do my homework because I couldn't remember when you told me to breathe. I mean, it's ridiculous. Just saying that is ridiculous.
Oh no, we've ruined it all. Ruined all the homework, I mean.
So this is the thing, we are trying to create this resilience, this autonomy, this give someone responsibility back so they can enjoy what they do and they can enjoy movement and being active. You want resilience in your body. You want options and choices so that if something, does happen and you pick up an injury, you've got other things that can help along for the ride. And my biggest thing that I say to everyone, whether you're an instructor, whether you're a client, ask why. There is a reason every single one of the things that you do and the weird and wonderful exercises we can come up with links to your function, what you do on a daily basis, what your goal is, where you want to get to. Ask the why. No one should just be coming in and going, here's a head cushion, here's a ball, here's a band. Oh, that's just lazy. Ask the why. Be that 2-year-old child. Be inquisitive. Question what's going on. Why will this help me? What will it make me better? Well, why am I feeling this in the wrong place when everyone else was feeling it there? Does that matter? Potentially no. Just keep asking those questions. Keep challenging, in a nice and a positive way, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, that you're being taught by. Because if their reaction is, oh God, I don't want to answer your questions, potentially there's a little bit of a gap in knowledge there. And then you can work together in order to figure out what that might be. Mm-hmm. But find your resilience. Why not check out these related videos? Thanks for joining us, everyone.